Alright guys, so this is the $64 million question, and the first question I've got is one for you actually. Why are you listening to me give you advice on whether or not to use a lawyer? I am systemically, culturally inoculated to tell you to use one. I'm going to come on to the conclusion, the real sort of hard-hitting conclusion at the end of the vlog, but I'm firstly going to just give some examples, because of course the answer is it depends. Subject to my cliffhanger, that's the answer, it depends. Now, take for example a case that I had a year ago. Lady outside the country, English wasn't her first language. She was entitled to a share of a high value property in London. He wasn't giving her anything. She really had little choice but to use a lawyer. You know, six-figure sum equity in this particular property, because he was not going to give her anything without a hell of a fight. Okay, now take the opposite extreme, a £500, perhaps a £3,000 small claim track that's straightforward, where you simply feel that, I don't know, your neighbour accidentally, you know, destroyed your patio when they did some works in their garden, or a builder who's bringing an invoice, a small business bringing a claim for an unpaid invoice for works done when he suspects that the party doesn't really have much of a leg to stand on, you know, and it's a low value claim. And of course, you're probably right in thinking that anything under £10,000 is low value. See the vlog on that, though, there are exceptions. But you know, that's sort of, I took an editor to court before I was a practicing lawyer, and he made a little short film for me, and I lent him some money to upgrade his editing suite, and he decided he wasn't going to give me the money back after the job was done. Took him to court, had to go all the way to trial, actually turned up at the court hearing, and he didn't show, and he paid up. You know, so you can do it yourself, and the whole point of this website is to provide you with materials if it is a low value claim, to do it yourself. Okay, but there is often complexity. So I'll just come on to another example that was actually a low value claim, 10 grand. Claimant tried to do it herself, but unfortunately it wasn't really ever a small claim. It was a complex accounting issue, and it was, an expert was required, you know, so it became much more than a small claim. In fact, arguably it could have been a multi-track claim, which is the one above. You've got small, fast, multi. All right, now there, because of the complexity around this issue, because of the determination of her opponent, who was a lawyer themselves, you know, she needed a lawyer to represent her. So, and a lawyer for a lawyer to, you know, to sort of guide the litigation, because it was clearly a more complex and higher value claim than she initially envisaged. So, you know, there will be an example. Now, another example maybe, you're a business, you just don't want to spend the headspace and the management time on running the litigation yourself. Okay, now I've got a builder, for example, who did some works, and the consumer is alleging negligence, and he's like, this is outrageous. I've done a good job, and almost as he's a foreigner, he's Albanian, English isn't his first language. You know what I mean? He wants to be on site. He doesn't want to spend his time suing someone through the small claims court. So he's just made a decision that he's going to use the small claim service, and it's sort of like we've given him a lot of help and assistance simply because he wants it. He doesn't want to be doing the work for himself. Fine, that's a commercial decision to take. Now, that's all very well, but I think the sort of second answer to that whole question, rather than necessarily looking at the complexion of the type of cases, which is one yardstick, is, can you find a good one? Can you actually find a half-decent lawyer? And I'm afraid to say, my life experience over 20 years of litigation is that there are good lawyers and there are bad lawyers. Well, there aren't many bad lawyers in truth, but there are proactive lawyers who have a sense of self-respect about what they do professionally and want to get you a result. They're here to provide a service that gives you a result. It's really annoying. If I was a consumer, I'd be really annoyed by the fact that anything else you buy in the world, you expect. I've just been I'm in a cafe. I've provided me some breakfast. It was tasty. I enjoyed it, and I paid some money for it. I got a result, and I paid some money. With a lawyer, you don't get a result, do you? He just invoices you routinely. You're too intimidated by his supreme ivory tower legal intelligence to challenge him, and he says, "Oh, this is my advice. What do you want to do?" And so he puts the ball in your court and absolves himself of any personal responsibility, and he's not actually giving you a result. Now the American lawyers are better at this. But we've got this sort of ivory tower respect for intelligent lawyers, and we'll happily pay their invoices even when they've not actually delivered a result for us. Okay, I mean, I guess the result might be just some really hot advice on where to take their case, the dispute. Fine, but as often as not, lawyers really just turn the handle. They're like taxi drivers, just driving around in circles, and the meter's running and they invoice you routinely. And this is what makes people nervous about going to lawyers. Yeah, I think there's a sea change actually, and I think, for example, lawyers now need to start engaging with clients and actually offering a result, and producing videos and actually meeting clients and trying to reach out to clients. And those who don't will fall by the wayside. So I think that's sort of my second point about, in order to answer the questions, you need to find a decent one. Now my third and final point on this question is you need to make sure that the law firm itself, you might have found a decent lawyer, but that the law firm itself will actually be flexible with the type of retainers it will offer you. So it might offer you a fixed fee to complete a certain piece of work, so you know what you're getting. Yeah, it might be necessary simply to charge you an hourly rate because that's the nature of the animal. Yeah, it might be a very high value claim of 500,000. There's no point in doing a no-win, no-fee because you'll be parting with 25% of that or more. Better to just take a commercial decision and just, you can see that in a commercial case, a high-value case, you just use a lawyer on a taxi meter basis. Fine. But you also need to make sure that a lawyer can, if necessary, run the case on a no-win, no-fee basis, or a blend no-win, no-fee, and let's say he's halved his hourly rate. That's really important in certain types of cases. Just to go back to the lady who lived outside the country and was fighting over a property, she didn't have any money. She wasn't a high flyer. And she simply could not have got access to justice without no win, no fee. And I took 25% of her winnings. Right? And she paid some money, a little bit of money up front. No such thing as a free lunch, I don't think. I don't trust claims management companies or big legal farms that take on work completely for free, like personal injury factories. I think that the client should actually invest some money in their case. As a lawyer, I need to know that you are committed to your case. That's one very important litmus test, whether or not we're going to succeed, if you've got out your checkbook. So I think the third point is that the lawyer needs to be able to offer you, be flexible in respect of what type of retainer they're offering you. So when you ask for a quote or ask for some initial advice, because most lawyers should give you, at least 10 minutes of their time to talk about the case, you might want to just pop that question into the conversation. Do you do no win, no fee? If the case is a strong one and it's high value, would you consider a retainer on that basis? Yeah. See what comes back. All right, that's all for that one. Bye for now.